Ever wondered how software actually gets made? You know, how a few lines of code turn into a real app you can use? Well, today, we're going to find out.
We're going to pull back the curtain and follow the secret life of a super simple command line calculator. We'll watch it go from just a raw script all the way to a polished app. This is where you'll see how software really comes alive. Okay, so every big project has to start somewhere, right? It starts with a spark. And for us, that spark is this, a really basic script. It just takes two numbers, an operation, and boom, it spits out an answer. Super simple, and yeah, it works. But trust me, this is just the very beginning. And this right here is a super important point. Getting the code to just work, honestly, that's usually the easy part. The real challenge, where the craftsmanship comes in, is turning this simple working thing into something that's solid, reliable, and actually nice to use. So how on earth do we do that? Well, our very first step is to tackle the chaos. Right now, all our code, the stuff that asks the user for numbers, the logic for adding, the logic for subtracting, it's all just thrown together in one giant file. And let me tell you, that is a recipe for disaster down the road. So we're at a fork in the road. We could just keep everything in one file. It's easy at the start, sure, but it turns into a complete mess, like a tangled ball of yarn, really fast. The other option, we use something called modules, where we break out each job into its own little file. This isn't just about being tidy. This is how you build software that's meant to last. The best way to think about modules is like a really well-organized toolbox. I mean, you wouldn't just dump all your hammers, screwdrivers, and wrenches into one big pile, would you? Of course not. You have a spot for each tool. It's the exact same idea with code. We'll have one file just for addition, another for subtraction, and so on. It makes everything clean, reusable, and way easier to manage later on. All right, so our code is all nice and organized for us, the developers, that's great. But now it's time to shift our focus to the most important person in this whole equation, the user. Because look, a great app is so much more than just clean code. It has to be a great experience. And right off the bat, we've got a huge problem with the user experience. Our calculator does one little calculation and then it just quits. Poof, gone. If you want to do another one, you have to start the whole program over again. How annoying is that? It's super frustrating. The fix is actually a classic programming idea, a simple loop. It's easy. After every calculation, we just ask the user, hey, want to go again? If they say yes, we just loop right back to the beginning. If they say no, the program ends nicely. This one tiny change makes the app 1,000 times more useful. Okay, next step, let's talk about looks. Our app works a lot better now, for sure. But let's be real, it's pretty boring to look at. Just plain white text on a black screen. We can definitely do better. And this is where the power of the developer community really shines. You don't have to build everything yourself. We can grab a free tool, a package called Node Banner, and instantly add this awesome, colorful welcome banner. It makes the whole thing feel way more professional, but it also introduces a sneaky new bug. Yeah, whoops. See, because the banner and the user prompt try to show up at the exact same millisecond, they just smush together. It's a visual mess. This is a classic example of how fixing one thing or adding a cool feature can accidentally break something else. But the fix is actually super simple and kind of elegant. All we have to do is tell the program, hey, after you show the banner, just wait 1 second, then show the prompt. That tiny little delay, using a thing called set timeout, is all it takes to fix the whole problem. Everything's back in order. So let's recap. Our app is organized, it's user-friendly, and hey, it even looks pretty good. But is it strong? Is it robust? I mean, what happens when a user does something we don't expect? It's time to make this thing bulletproof. Think about it. The app asks for a number. What if you type the letter Z instead? The whole thing just crashes and burns. You get this ugly error message NaN, which just means not a number. A real professional app should never, ever break that easily. The solution here is called input validation. And I love this analogy. Think of it as the program's immune system. Before it ever tries to use the data you give it, it first checks to see if that data is okay. Is it valid? Is it safe? It's like a protective shield against bad user input. And this is the payoff. With that validation in place, our app is so much smarter. Now, if someone types Z, it doesn't just crash. Instead, it says, hey, please enter a valid number, and lets them try again. This is the kind of thing that separates a flimsy script from a really solid application.
Okay, we've done it. Our code is clean, the user experience is smooth, and its defenses are solid. Our little script isn't just a script anymore. It's a real application. There's only one thing left to do. Launch it. Let's get it out there for the world to see. To do that, we're going to use something called NPM. That stands for Node Package Manager, but don't worry about that. The easiest way to think of it is like an app store, but for code. It's this giant public library where developers can share and download all sorts of useful code packages. And what sounds like it might be super complicated is actually incredibly simple. It's basically 3 steps. First, you just set up a few details about your project, like its name and version. Second, you type one single command, npm publish. That's it. It bundles everything up and sends it out. Your app is now live. And the best part, anyone, anywhere in the world can now run your calculator instantly, just by typing npx and then your app's name. All right, let's step back for a second and look at the big picture. We've been on a pretty cool journey here, right? We've gone from a tiny little script to a real app that anyone can use. So what's the big takeaway? This whole process with our simple calculator, it's a perfect miniature version of how pretty much all software gets made. You start with that initial idea, that working prototype. Then you organize the code to keep it from becoming a mess, you make it stronger, you build up its defenses, and all along the way, you're constantly thinking about the user's experience. And then, finally, you launch it.
And that right there is the real secret. You see, great software isn't something you just write. It's something you build. It's this constant cycle of refining and improving and fixing one little step at a time. Every single step adds another layer of polish and makes it that much better. You know, we started all of this with just about the simplest program you can imagine, a calculator. But by sticking with it and applying this mindset of always improving, we turned it into something real. So that leaves just one last question. What are you going to build?